No, public comment.
Okay.
All right, it is 5 o'clock. Thanks everybody for being here. This is a work session for our council meeting next week. Just one thing, there's some folks signed up for a lot of resolutions and agenda items and stuff. This is a work session for the council. I'm not going to call up people to speak on each agenda item. If you want to, you can talk about them in public comment. This is a meeting for us. So with that being said, the first item on the agenda is approval of monthly bills. Next we have approval of minutes. Are there any changes? Anything going on those? Nope. Next up, ordinance number 274589. Approve rezoning 142624 for 410 Railroad Street. Set public hearing for October 21st, 2024 at 10 a.m.
How y'all doing?
Good.
How are you? I'm doing well. Tommy Williams with the planning department. And the applicant is requesting to rezone 0.77 acres of land from M1 Light Industry to B5 Central Business District. It's the currently the Sharpley Funeral Home located at 410 Railroad Street Northwest. And this rezone is part of the Cherry Street vacation. And it passed the commission last month.
Okay, any questions? Thank you, Tommy. The next one is public hearing, ordinance number 244587. Approve rezoning request 1424-24 for property located at 23366 Bibb Garrett Road. Public hearing was set August 19th, 2024.
Okay, the applicant is requesting to rezone 202 acres from AG2 to RD redevelopment. The property is located southwest of 23366 Bibb Garrett. And at this time, no site plan has been submitted, and it passed the PC on July 23rd.
Okay, any questions? And Jason, I completely forgot about you. I'm sorry. Tommy, can we let me get through with these public hearings and we'll get Jason. I'm sorry. Ordinance 244588, approve rezoning request 142224 for property located at 211 West Moulton Street.
This is a rezone of 0.35 acres of land from B1 local shopping to B2 general business located at 211 West Moulton, and it passes the planning commission in July.
Any questions? Last public hearing is resolution number 24197, approve request for off-premise beer and wine license for Spring Mart Inc. at 3704 Spring Avenue Southwest.
And this is just a change in ownership.
Okay, any questions? And Jason, I'm sorry. So we're going to go out of order. We're going to go to agenda item M. Resolution number 24-222, approve additional funds for pickleball and tennis beer span facilities.
Thank you for allowing me to go a little quicker. Is that right?
You're good.
Okay. So we're asking for, it's going to show up as an additional $1.5 million. But let me go through kind of how that lays out. Is if you'll look at the resolution that we did originally, it was for $2 million. Those projects were always $2.5 million. And Kyle and I knew that. We started to come straight back to council to fix that. But we wanted to make sure that there weren't any other items, because when we started getting into the construction, we saw that there was the possibility with the safety plan that we might have to add fire suppression to those buildings. So instead of just coming right back, we waited to see how we had to go through the building department. We had to go through many conversations to see, because there are buildings around here like that don't have fire suppression, but they're not like the one that we're building. So $1 million of this money is actually money that was always meant to go to that project, go to those two projects. The $500,000 is actually a projection for the fire suppression, and we project that at $600,000, but we're $100,000 under budget for the project that we came to council about. So we're asking for an additional $500,000. So that's where the $1.5 million comes from. And if there's questions about that, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions? Thank you, Jason. Okay, weed abatements. All these pretty much the same. Resolution number 24-198, assess $293.50 against 410 3rd Avenue Southwest for a cost of abatement. No, just, are they all this, are they all?
Yeah, all of them are the same. Cost for abatement, we're asking it to be assessed to the property to recoup the city's money.
Okay, are there any questions on A through L? Okay, resolutions. Resolution 24-210, approve request for conditional suspension or revocation of the City of Decatur business license for T1 Mexican Grill operating at 1318 6th Avenue Southeast, Decatur, Alabama, 35601, or any location within the City of Decatur due to multiple tax delinquencies.
Yes, they are delinquent for June, July, and August. They have been notified verbally and certified, and the code officer also went out and spoke with them as recently as today about this.
Have they made any effort to, excuse me, have they made any effort to fix this?
Not at this time.
Have they stated any effort? Have they said that they're going to do anything about it? Have they given you any plans, put forth anything? Nothing at all.
Nothing at all, and they've not even responded to emails or to our certified mail.
Lord, we've worked with them before. I can't remember the exact timeline. Do you remember when that?
We gave them 6 months back in September of last year.
And they paid
They did.
regularly until this summer?
Well, they wouldn't let it get to 3 months, and they would catch it up. So, our target is to keep everyone at no more than 3 months delinquent without bringing it to council.
Yeah.
So this is the first time since then, a year later, that they have been delinquent 3 months or more.
And they have been communicating with your office about the situation? Or
They have not communicated
have not?
with us in the last 3 months. I've had no communication.
Okay, anybody else got any questions? Thank you, ma'am. Next one is resolution number 24-211, accept air products donation for Decatur Fire and Rescue. Chief.
Hello, Council. Tracy Thornton, Fire Department. This is luckily a yearly grant we get from Air Products. It's for $5,000 that we'll use for equipment.
Anybody have any questions? All right, the next one is resolution number 24-212, approve capital purchase of 2 mowers for beautification.
Good Council, Daniel Vowell, Environmental Services. Yes, we're not asking for a non-operating source. We're going to use our FY24 operating budget to purchase these mowers. It's under a Sourcewell contract.
Awesome. Anybody have any questions? Thank you, sir. Next one is resolution 24-213, approve authorizing mayor to execute 2024-2025 dispatch contract with Morgan County E911.
Well, I thought one of the chiefs or someone, but anyway, basically, there's no additional cost from last year, the same amount of the budget. There are some adjustments whereby if there's certain extraordinary services they provide, then they'd be paid for those. But as far as from a budgetary standpoint, it's the same as last year.
Anybody have any questions? The next one is resolution 24-214, authorize administrative fees increase for weed abatements.
Yeah, this is the resolution that we've been talking about for the past couple of council meetings. We did an audit of our administrative costs for weed abatements, and you'll see that breakdown. So we are asking that those fees increase from $200 to $274, and then that's just for the administrative fees, and then the actual cost from the contractor will be added to that.
And that cost is actually down from the last bid, right?
Yes. I mean, just for the average lot, it's 74, but now if they're, over an acre lot, that cost goes up some, but on average, yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
The next one is resolution number 24-215, award bid 34-030 for PVC pipe and fittings to American Pipe and Supply being the lowest responsible bidder.
Good evening, Jeremy Sherrill, Procurement. This is an annual renewal.
We contacted 17 vendors directly and another 23 vendors through a third party called Vendor Registry. I'll try to refer to that more often as we go forward, but we received 2 responses and are recommending American Pipe and Supply for approval.
Any questions? Okay, the next one is Resolution 24216, award bid 24031 for auto body paint and repair to the body shop being the lone respondent.
Yes, this is another contract renewal for auto body paint and repair. 10 local vendors. We mailed out invitations to bid directly, another 25 through Vendor Registry. We did receive only 1 response, which is the body shop. They've held this contract since 2021. They were the lone respondent then as well, so we are recommending them for approval.
Any questions? Resolution number 24218, award bid 24029 for Everyday Sunshine Park to JB&L LLC being the lowest responsible bidder.
Yes, we did a bid opening on the 29th of August. This is an excavation plan. We had 2 responsive bidders, and we're asking award to low, JB&L.
Okay.
And I'd be glad to answer any questions. I know that a lot of folks is excited that we're to this step with Everyday Sunshine.
That one's been hanging out for a while. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you, Alan.
Thanks, Al.
The next one is Resolution 24219, approve OMI contract for Kerry Matthews study.
I guess, well, Mr. Jackson, basically this group, OMI, would go out, it would be a 2-phase process. This is phase 1. They would go out, analyze what can be done for the foundation and other parts of Kerry Matthews. The cost of this is $34,750, and that's what it does. They will give us an initial analysis, and then once they've done that, then they can give us what phase 2 would involve.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? I've got one. I know we had some studies done in the past. Do we know what's different with OMI versus the previous?
I don't.
Yeah, we do. They are using
Mr. Jackson went out there, he can answer.
Yeah, they're using a more sensitive and more sensitive equipment so that they can actually do a survey as to the actual texture of the soil. And Mr. Ozier will be here next week to explain any questions that we have. But it's a piece of equipment that we don't have in this general area, and they're going to. I think they're going to get it from Auburn University. The equipment to test the soil for this. So that's where we are, and that's where the additional. He just said that the test that we did before was not going to accurately lay out what we were looking at, and this would actually give us an actual assessment of what we needed.
Because that previous one, it was just like a phase 1, wasn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Alrighty. The next one, Resolution 24220, approve DHR lease extension of 507 14th Street Southeast.
Yes, that's the lease from the city to DHR, or the state of Alabama Department of Human Resources, ends May of next year. And under the present lease, they have the right to renew it for 5 more years. Just a little history. This building was built for them initially. The Public Building Authority administered it, and then the Public Building Authority dissolved, and then it became the property of the city. And this has been a good lease for the city. They're responsible also not only for the lease payments, but to maintain the building. So that's what it does. It extends the lease another 5 years.
Okay. Any questions? The next one is Resolution 24221, approve build to rent building permit moratorium extension.
Okay. This would extend the moratorium until January the 1st. One of the reasons for that is that with the zoning ordinance rewrite, we can plug this into that ordinance and not republish it and have to renumber it and do all that. It gives us a little bit more time to evaluate what we need to do.
I guess that means we're anticipating voting on the zoning ordinance for the first.
I can only hope.
Okay. All right, moving on to ordinances.
Let me just, we continue to push this moratorium, but I think this kind of goes back to Mr. Jackson's point of somebody in planning, but we have to address this. Build to rent is a real thing that's happening throughout the country, and you are limiting your housing options for people not having this. And the way the ordinance is, there is no build to rent allowed in the city, regardless of where it's at. We know we have one they did not want, that they can't do it, but I'm struggling to see us continue to push this if it's not in the zoning rewrite.
No, it's going to be in there, or it'll just be separate.
Yeah. My big concern is we're going to miss out on housing options that people need. Not everybody's ready to buy a home, but they would prefer to have a home to rent versus a newer construction home to rent versus an apartment or an older home. Just my 2 cents.
Very good.
Ordinances, first reading, ordinance 244590.
You forgot that.
We already did it. Jason did it.
Oh, that's right, sorry.
Approve establishing the use of electronic vote counting devices pursuant to Chapter 7, Title 17, Alabama Code of 1975.
Yeah, that's Stephanie.
That's you?
That would be me. As stated, it's part of the code that we have to adopt the ordinance specifying what type of machines will be used in the election next year.
Okay.
And of course, we'll match up whatever the county.
Yes.
Let me add to that since we're talking voting and machines. Earlier, the council had passed a resolution that we would move our voting for the people who normally or typically vote at Carey Matthews. Will be back at Carey Matthews for the November election. It's going to be a large election. The current facility that we were using temporarily is not going to be big enough to support that. So we've got to start getting the word out that voting will go back to Carey Matthews, regardless of the fact that they're going to be doing work there. The gym will be secured so that no one can go in that direction. But I just want to get it out there and start putting it out there more and more frequently that we're going to be voting in November at Carey Matthews in Northwest Decatur.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson, for that reminder. Do we have anything else from council? I've got one thing. Do we know where we are with the closing of the land on 67 and Upper River Road?
Yes, sir. Mr. Alexander is trying to finalize that. It should be in the next few weeks. Yeah, that's a priority for him.
Good.
And for me.
Okay. Mayor, you got anything?
No, sir.
All right, so we will go into Carlton. Yeah, sorry, Alan.
We received our grant agreement for the Reconnecting Communities grant late and was not able to get it on this council agenda. This is the agreement for the $18,407,000 to do the Reconnecting Communities grant bicycle path improvements for Bill Sims. So I would ask, if possible, to add that to allow the mayor to sign that agreement. We've already signed one with the state. This is actually with FHWA.
Yeah, I mean, I'm good with that if legal and everybody else is. Of course, Jacob will be back next week, and if he's not, he can take it off, but I'm good with that.
Okay.
It's already on the agenda for next meeting, but if we could just move it up, that would be great.
Okay.
So no match covers administrative costs. It's a very nice grant.
Yeah, there's no match grant. It also includes, in that $18 million, it's also PE. The preliminary engineering is included in that $18 million. So, yes, sir.
Thank you. Yes, sir. Anything else from any directors? All right, we will move into public comment. Same rules apply. 3 minutes, no sharing of time. First up is Dr. Love.
It's 4 minutes.
It's 3 minutes. We're going to do
It's 3 with time to wrap up. It's 3. He gives a minute to wrap up. Well, but he says 3 in a minute, right?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just have a few questions for Councilman Pepper. Do you know who Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is?
Of course.
May I ask your opinion of him?
He was a public activist who advocated for millions of people to be able to have the right to vote and to be not just the right to vote, but all sorts of different, I guess you could say, general civil rights. But he came down and fought for those who were treated differently in the South primarily, and he fought for them to have the same rights as everybody else.
Okay. Do you know where he was born?
I do not.
He was born in Atlanta, Georgia. Do you know of any other places he lived?
I do not.
Well, I will let you Google that later, but I will tell you that he did not live in Selma, where he helped fight for voting rights. He did not live in Birmingham, where he protested incessantly, eulogized the 4 little girls, found himself in prison. He did not live in Washington, D.C., where he led thousands on a march and said the famous "I Have a Dream" speech. And he did not live in Memphis, where he eventually, where he passed away, where he was assassinated, fighting for the rights of sanitation workers. And you spoke very highly of him, so I have to ask you why you came for the Reverend Dr. Claudette Owens when she's emulating such a great man. And I quote, this is from a Facebook post: "Maybe Dr. Owens, Claudette, should focus on her community, which she likes to throw around. She does. Did I mention her community is Hartselle?" So, Dr. Owens has a church here. So anything that happens here is going to impact her congregation. But even besides that, Dr. King said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And the last time I checked, Hartselle was right down the road. And I feel like your comment is coming from a place of privilege. You've always had your rights. You don't understand what it's like for a minority to have to fight for the rights they were already guaranteed. You don't know what we have to do. We have to stand together. And I personally appreciate Dr. Owens coming from Hartselle. I appreciate all those who came from Athens fighting for justice for Steve, those from Birmingham, those from all over this country who have been down here fighting with us. I really, truly appreciate that. So, let me ask, what would the world be like if Dr. King just focused on Atlanta? I'm so glad that he didn't. Now, where is Steve's murderer from? That's who needed to stay in his own community. Justice for Steve Perkins.
Ms. Bradley?
I'm gonna say this, Dr. Love did it better than I can do, because I'm gonna try my best to hold my composure, but I don't know what problem you have, why you go trolling on Facebook and disrespect mankind. Let me tell you something. I didn't know that post existed, but my friend Nika, my dear friend Nika, she lost a baby. The day that the year came, she was mourning that day. You went on somebody's Facebook page that you're not friends with and made a very derogatory comment on the day that this woman is mourning her child. I don't care what he died from. Listen, if you can't say nothing nice, don't say nothing at all. There's some things you don't disrespect people on it. It's a disgrace to mankind. Like, you shouldn't have breath in you if you're gonna speak like that about somebody. It brought me to tears, because how could you call yourself a leader? What makes you think you're a leader? Can you explain to me why you feel like you're a leader?
I'm not going to respond to any of your questions.
You're not? Right, because you're not a leader. And for you to sit up there and act like a professional, you make me sick to my stomach.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, okay, well, good. I'm going to tell you what. You better stay off Facebook making derogatory comments like that about people that you don't know nothing about. You barking up a tree that you're not ready for. You understand what I'm saying? And then the mayor, he's gone, but who was the mayor speaking about when he said he can't negotiate with people that resemble terrorists? What does that mean?
Why don't you
why do you, well, I can't make him because he's not.
Give him a call.
Listen, he's not gonna speak to me. Don't say nothing else.
give
Just
him a
be
call.
quiet, okay? Because you're irrelevant. And I'm tell you what, I'm not Dr. Love, and I'm not gonna be nice. Just shut up if you can't say nothing at all. Because see, I bark back.
As soon as you.
Yeah, like I said, I bark back.
Same.
And you don't scare me. And you're not gonna keep disrespecting people and expect somebody to respect you.
I'm definitely gonna.
Get your head together or shut up.
Whenever you have something to say, I'm
Like I
going to
said.
respond to anything you have to say up here, okay?
You made me sick to my stomach. I can't focus because people like you, it makes no sense. I wanted to speak real fast on this situation with this pickleball because this was given to me to read to you guys. So while you guys the city council is considering spending an additional $750,000 on the pickleball courts on top of the initial $2+ million and the separate $410,000 for 4 bathrooms and family-sized changing rooms, I ask that you consider this. The population of Decatur in 2023 was just under 58,000. 13.9% plus are living out at or below national poverty level, which is currently 15,060 for a single person and 31,200 for a family of 4. Census does not include our homeless community. And those, you got me so mad I can't even. And those who do not live permanently at a residence, those living in motels, staying with friends, etc. An address of First Tree on the right does not count for census. Homeless census is an entire separate count done one day in January of each year. Putting aside the fact that our community population of unhoused is increasing in a regular basis, the facts are that median rent in Decatur is $1,250 a month for a place for you or I would consider living. This, of course, does not take consideration into all the slumlord properties in town that have no heat, AC, etc. With good reason. Well, which are substantially low with good reason. This may be affordable housing to some, but certainly it isn't for those already living in poverty. 12.2% of our citizens have no health care. Most of these residents do not have transportation. We are asking that you guys consider this money that you're spending on pickleball because there's bigger fish to fry in Decatur that should be a higher priority other than pickleball. I mean, between the kids and the homeless, I think that should be above this $1 million of money that y'all spending for something that half the community is probably not going to enjoy.
Good evening, everyone. It's been a minute since I've been here, but I've been watching from afar, from a distance. And I know the mayor is not here, but I still want to address this just for public record. I firmly believe that leadership is definitely needed in this community, healthy leadership, accountable leadership. And from my observation and study on Mr. Bowling prior to the murder of Steve Perkins and after, how he's in a situation, has been lackluster. From a list of things, from groping a member of the LGBTQ+ community at the Princess Theater, to owning and operating an illegal Airbnb, for the improper use of public facilities, which is all this is documented and that were videotaped. Telling the Perkins family and various people in the community that he was going to resign from his mayoral office, then rescinding that resignation. Leading you, the councilman, Ashley for the slaughter, for the community with not being informed, not being able to give voters and taxpayers an answer. And also embarrassing Councilman President Ladner at a banquet by throwing a temper tantrum. To lastly, referring to taxpayers and voters in this city who don't agree with him as, quote, terrorists. And now that most of this happened within a year. I know within my form of leadership, there were certain things, and I'll be transparent, that I did things that were immoral, that weren't okay. And I had to be subject to my elders that were above me. I didn't dodge accountability. I didn't pass the buck. I said, you know what? It was me. I did it. I was wrong, and I'm willing to do whatever I can to earn your trust. And I did that. It took me a year, but I earned their trust again. So I'm not saying this as someone who's done everything right. I may plenty of wrong decisions, but I say this as a man who has earned people's trust again. And everything that I've done wrong, I've paid it back and paid it forward, plus interest, to show that I have integrity, to show that I care, and to show that I'm still willing to be a part of the team to make everything better. This mayor has shown that he's not willing to be a part of this team. He's not willing to care for the people who pay taxes and vote, who's gonna be voting this year. So I'll say this, that this city deserves a better mayor, not just from the west side, not just from East Acres, but even on with the Burning Tree. They deserve a better mayor. You deserve a better mayor. All of you, even Hunter Pepper. As much as I don't agree with Hunter Pepper, and as much as I find his stance to be uninformed and shallow and pedantic, I can at least commend Hunter Pepper because he's been here more than the mayor has. So I stand here, and I'm gonna close out with saying this. Apart from being, and he may not be listening to this, but that's okay, I'm just, once again, public record. Mr. Bowling, apart from being leaders, apart from being men, but on a human being basis, you will stand to be accountable for your actions and your behavior. If not in this life, for sure in the next life. And my only request to you, sir, not even just for the city of Decatur, but for your own soul, for your own personal well-being, not that I'm gonna do anything, but you will have to answer for your actions and your behavior. So my hope and my desire for you, Mr. Bowling, is that you go to wherever you need to go to, and you open your heart and you be honest and transparent with who you need to be transparent with, because that time is coming. And all I can say is have mercy on your soul. Justice for Steve Perkins.
Justin, wow.
All right, I wanted to speak on the additional funding for the pickleball courts. Many of us in the community can't go back to our employer and ask us for funds when we are in the negative. So why is it okay for a department to come back to the city council and ask for funds that they should have budgeted before? Most in this community will not use those pickleball courts. We've got outdated playground equipment. We've got veterans whose homes are damaged from past years' incidents. I mean, come on, $750,000? And then what, he said something like 1.5 million? That's ridiculous. Secondly, at the last council meeting, there was a lady up here speaking on environmental issues. Some of the people up here at this table were smirking, laughing, and probably making fun of her behind closed doors. That is not okay. That is not leadership, and you should step down from your positions. Thank you.
Is this for a public comment or
Both.
resolution?
Both.
So you're taking 3 minutes from me?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you look up the definition of terrorist, a terrorist is described as a noun, a person who uses unlawful violence and intimidation, especially against civilians, in the pursuit of political aims. Justice for Steve.
Bill, Martin.
Good afternoon, Phil Wiring, Southwest Decatur. I'm simply asking that on future agenda that we put on Get Legal to report on the status of the Garth and Sykes Cemetery on being able to obtain those. That's all I'm asking for.
Okay.
Thank you.
But Caroline might have that, right? Mr. Faruqi.
Hey, team. Okay, the idea that the work session is only for the council is probably the most asinine thing I've heard you say on that podium since I've been coming to these meetings.
That's fine.
Work session is designed to produce work. Okay, what I heard up here was maybe one or two comments about one agenda item, and that was it, and we're going to see this thing next week sometime. What I will say is when I take a look at the checks that were expended, because I've got a laundry list of things to look at, there's one in there talking about, and if anybody has read their packet, Scott Anderson received a check for $6,280 for fines. I'm assuming that's our municipal attorney. Can you tell me what that 6,000?
That's a state mandated fee that the district attorney for Morgan County receives out of our court costs.
What is it listed as fines?
That's part of it. Fines cost, yeah.
Okay.
Fine cost. It'll still cost. They're fining cost. It costs whoever the total price. It's kind of, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah, it is fines and costs. He gets a certain percentage of the fines, yeah, by state law.
All right, well, that's about as clear as mud, but thank you for that.
Well, the answer is state law says that the district attorney for this county gets a certain percentage of the fines, period.
Okay, so will the district attorney get a percentage of the fines for Tab Bowling's misuse of the pickleball court?
I do not know the answer to that.
Okay, that'd be a great thing for you to find out for us next week.
I'll find it out. I'll get you that answer, okay?
Okay, under the minutes, there's a correction to item L. It says whomever accepts the planning director position should be required to, understated is the quote, and know the Decatur One plan. That's not what was said. What was said was, it was not understated, but understand, and there needs to be an intention here for this body to approve the actions that were done on every item in the plan before the new director takes the job. So if there's a new planning director coming up here, he should understand where the Decatur One plan is currently. That's the intent behind that comment. So I don't want it to be convoluted. I want to make very clear what I'm asking for. Resolution, and again, you do a disservice to the city, to you, all members here, when you do not allow people to come up here and address these agenda items, because we'll address them again next week. And it'll be way more expensive in terms of time and energy when we could be working these issues now. And we'd also have the staff for Tab Bowling here present, and I applaud the people that are still here from the city, because they seem to care more than a majority of the people who you're basically defending. I'm not done.
Wrap it up, please.
Morgan, I believe I have an extra minute. You're asking me to wrap it up? Okay, then please be quiet. Approve the contract with the Morgan County 911. Okay. This allows access to recordings only by fire and police personnel. Would like to see more oversight given to civilian representatives, especially to some sort of committee that you're in charge of, Mr. McMasters, overseeing law enforcement. Currently, political leaders can hide behind the law enforcement personnel authorization rather than being capable of intellectual curiosity, legislative investigation, and access those recordings needed to be available in the event of events like Steve Perkins. So some oversight authority, civilian-wise, from this body, and perhaps the civilian police, whatever it is, to look at those recordings. Currently, that resolution does not allow it. Lastly, Chief Pinion's plan, he could fund every bit of that plan at a portion of the pickleball and the $18 million bike path if this body would use some investigative and work session time to reassess what the budget ought to be. Thank you.
I too am highly disappointed that you chose tonight to cut our time on talking publicly, because next week's a daytime meeting. I can never make daytime meetings, and I had a lot of important things to say about another matter as well. But I guess I'll send each of you as a message, because I've been watching you the whole time, and you're so worried about the next speaker that you haven't listened to anybody. The only people that have listened is Herman, and I can't see him, and these two. That's it. You have looked down the whole time. But on the other matter I was going to speak on was the pickleball money. It's ridiculous, and I have a list of things it could go for. There's youth out here that don't have nothing to do. There's homeless people. It's just ridiculous to give more money to pickleball when we don't play pickleball. So, this is something else that I meant to speak on for public comment. A supporter of the Steve Perkins movement, who is 22 years old, was arrested on April 30th. I am re-bringing this to your attention because he was at his mother's home. They showed up with an arrest warrant for a failure to appear. They came in the house. They located him in his bedroom closet. While he was recording live, they pulled him out, tased him 4 times. They get him to the police station only to find out they don't have a warrant for him. Wow. The next day, he goes before the judge, and the case, he was dismissed, let go. No apologies. No, I'm sorry that this happened. But then, this person, again, had another, So again, the person did not have a failure to appear warrant. However, Decatur police chose to come in his mother's home, arrested him for that warrant that wasn't even there. Now we're going to fast forward to August 17th. This young man, they go back and re-arrest him for a Decatur City warrant because he resisted arrest the night they came in his mother's house and falsely arrested him. So he was trying to tell them that night that he did not have a warrant, and because of that, he was arrested and tased and arrested, and they came back again and have arrested him 4 months later because they said that he resisted that night, and they kept him in jail with no bond till court date. I was at that court date on Friday when he was brought into the courtroom. He was discouraged, he was defeated, and he was depressed. He's 22 years old with a newborn baby. And this is how your twisted Decatur City worked for him. This young father, 22 years old, they told him the only way to get out of jail that day was to sign an agreement to plead guilty to resisting arrest, even though they were falsely arresting him. And then he would get 2 years probation, he got a fine, and he got a 90-day suspended sentence, and he had to sign an agreement that he is not allowed to appeal, and he is not allowed to sue the city. So his only other choice was to stand by the fact that he wasn't guilty, but then they were going to make him stay in jail a total of 90 days, which meant he had to serve 70 more days in jail, while he has an infant child that he wanted to get out and go home to. I'm sure our great legal system said there were other facts that weren't out there, but everything stated is true. And because he's a Steve Perkins supporter, he was completely took advantage of and was given no choice basically by our city. So this is ongoing. This is currently happening. Maybe different tactics, but Decatur City is still doing things behind the scenes to discourage anyone from supporting the Steve Perkins movement. And we won't stop. Justice for Steve.
Oh, I didn't see Maggie.
Okay, coming to talk to you, McMasters. You never did get back with me with the third-party review.
What about it?
I asked you for an update. We hadn't heard anything about the third party.
I'm not privy to those updates.
So you don't know anything about what's going on, how far, even to this incident right here?
I know absolutely.
Are they interfering outside?
Nothing.
Are they interfering in here? Are they calling in you guys
I haven't
to be
talked with
interviewed?
anybody.
I've not interviewed.
They hadn't called none of you guys to be interviewed?
I haven't been called. I think they've worked, obviously, with the public. I think probably some people in here have
Well,
interviewed
yeah, I
as
know the
well as
public, but they do supposed
members
to come
of
in here and interview some of you
city
guys too,
employees
right?
as well.
They had said that they would possibly interview people who were involved with government.
I don't think they're done either.
I've not heard from them.
I don't think they're done with the interview process, but I could be wrong.
Okay, so can we get an update on the status on how far they are I asked you this about 4 weeks ago, so.
I'm sorry, I'll
I
see
still
if I can
hadn't,
find that.
I gave him time, so,
I'm sorry.
and
I'll
I'm
find
still on
that
the
out.
same question. It's not that hard.
Mr. Stovall.
Okay, I'm terribly upset about being called a terrorist. Right. And the people that was in that room with the mayor that day have way more, we have more college degrees than he would ever have, than that's even in his household. So for him to even degrade me and call me a terrorist after I picked up your phone call and listened to you, and you even told me that you was ready for healing. How can you be ready for healing and you calling me a terrorist at the same time? You're contradicting yourself, Mayor. I don't know what if you're delusional. I don't know if it's a mental breakdown, but something is going on, and that's why I'm asking the stakeholders online today. Step in for this man and help this man to go ahead and resign, because for him to call me a terrorist and call the people of SIP in this community a terrorist, who do he think he is? And let me go on further to say, if I am a terrorist, I learned it from you all. If I'm a terrorist, I learned it from the white man, because they came over here to this country and stole this country from the indigenous people. Then they created a holiday called Thanksgiving when they killed annihilated a whole group of people. So when you call me a terrorist, I got to come back at you, Mr. Mayor, because I'm not a terrorist. Are you a terrorist? And I'm mad as hell because you don't talk about people like that. I never went below the belt on you. I just told you your job performance, and that's it. And you went below it, calling me a terrorist? Who are you? And then you talk about racism. You stirring up the pot. You know exactly what you're doing. You're trying to create a race war in the city of Decatur. And I'm telling the stockholders, before you allow him to create a race war, move him out of his seat today.
Anything else from anybody?
I was just going to say, not, speaking on my thoughts on the mayor, but I don't believe anybody in this community is acting as a terrorist. I do believe that one of the worst things a leader can do when trying to bring people together is to make derogatory remarks about anybody, we all know there are people that have different views, different stances. There is on this dais, and there has been forever, and there always will be. But I still think there's a level of respect that can be held between both parties, and that should be expected.
All right, well, we will see y'all next week. We'll stand adjourned.
All right. Yes, sir.